Good evening, everyone. In the local and regional news this Wednesday evening, co-defendant Donald Larson takes the stand in the Virginia Piper kidnapping retrial, a local follow-up to a U.S. Senate car theft investigation which shows that auto theft rings are flourishing around the country. Minneapolis police, meanwhile, get out of their cars and go for a walk. And Bud Wilkenson of the St. Louis Cardinals takes a walk before the season ends.
Hi, I'm proud that my down is being featured at the First Banks. Save now on Stearns down jackets, down vests, and luxurious down parkas, or warmest down burr suits, vests, warmest down, or get a wool cap or duffel bag free with a qualifying deposit from your First Bank.
Working together, getting things done, that's what First Banking is.
That is incredible. You're putting me on.
We're eavesdropping with hidden cameras as people discover the 1980 Dodge Aspen is sticker-priced $800 less than any other six-passenger car.
The features that this one has for under $5,000, I think is amazing.
And that includes a fuel-efficient engine, automatic transmission, power steering, and more.
All for under $5,000. Can't believe it.
Aspen is the only six-passenger car under $5,000. Buy a 1980 Aspen now at a participating dealer and get a $300 check direct from Chrysler.
WCCO Television, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
From WCCO Television, the Northwest's leading news station, this is the 6 p.m. report.
Good evening, everyone. The second of the two defendants in the Piper kidnapping trial took the stand in his own defense today. Yesterday, Ken Callahan was in the witness box. Today, it was Donald Larson. From our St. Paul Bureau, Don Shelby reports. Don?
Well, all told, Larson, though he sat in the witness stand for about 6 hours today, actually testified for no longer than 1 hour altogether. The delays were being caused by the question of admissibility of Larson's past criminal record, specifically his murder convictions for killing 4 people in his Willow River farm in Minnesota in 1976. The defense had contended all along that those crimes were not relevant to the kidnapping charge, and in fact, the mention of the murders would prejudice the jury against Larson. But prosecutor Thor Anderson is believed to have argued that under federal law, criminal histories going back 10 years are admissible as evidence in court, and that the government had a right to bring out those crimes to try to impeach Larson's testimony. A compromise was reached by Judge Donald Alsop. The jury would be allowed to hear the first and second degree murder counts, but none of the others. Then Bruce Hartigan took the defendant through his alibi, but in cross-examination came, Thor Anderson first tried to pin Larson down on that alibi, and then he asked simply, were you convicted of first and second degree murder charges in Minnesota in 1976? Larson answered, yes, I was. The incidents happened at the same time, asked Anderson. All at the same time, answered Larson, and that was it. That is as far as the history into crime went. The defense then rested its case with the understanding that it might call more witnesses unless there is a stipulation on the part of the prosecution. The day ended with a rebuttal witness to try to impeach the testimony of Linda Burke-Billstrom, who appeared earlier in this trial, who testified that very likely it may have been her husband, boyfriend, common-law husband, who pulled off the kidnapping instead of Donald Larson and Ken Callahan. Then Ron Meshbesher came up on redirect, or on cross-examination rather, and seemed to shake that testimony somewhat. Tomorrow, more rebuttal witnesses for the prosecution, then it will go to final arguments, and again, it looks like Monday when the jury gets this case.
Thank you, Don.
Yes, sir.
A 10-year-old St. Paul girl suffered a harrowing experience yesterday after she was kidnapped from her home. The girl said she was awakened by a young stranger standing next to her bed. This was about 1:30 in the morning. She said he pulled her from her bed, put his hand over her mouth, and forced her into his car. She said when the car stopped at a signal light, she jumped out. Later, she appeared at her parents' home, ringing the front door. Her father said his daughter's cool helped her get out of a potentially dangerous situation. I guess so.
Also in St. Paul, one of the men involved in the liquor investigation in that city last year has filed a lawsuit against the city's police chief. Harold Moore charges that Chief Richard Rowan falsely identified Moore as the so-called Mr. X in the probe. Moore also claims that his constitutional rights were violated by the police chief. Moore is seeking damages in excess now of $50,000. Chief Rowan, in the meantime, has no comment. Last night on the 10 p.m. report, we broadcast 2 stories about nationwide organized crime theft ring. Witnesses told a U.S. Senate subcommittee that such rings exist around the country and that thieves can steal any car they want in a matter of seconds. Tony Saffold has the local follow-up.
23-year-old Ed Kowal went out to his Jeep pickup this morning and discovered that his CB radio and speakers had been stolen. After a routine police investigation, Kowal said the job had been done neatly. No signs of forced entry. Ironically, Kowal had seen last night's news story on professional auto theft. Such a story, he said, could have prompted the burglary.
If someone didn't know before, the show showed some reasons how someone could break into it and that, and it's obvious now that people are really easy breaking into cars, and they should make it a little harder for people to break in.
Kowal's neighbor, Garrett Dahl, faced the same situation today. Burglars stole his tape player, but the theft from his Jeep was a little more messy. Thieves broke a window to gain entry. He too had seen the news story last night and shared similar feelings with Kowal. Both St. Paul and Minneapolis police officials say there are no organized auto theft rings or chop shops, places where cars are dismantled in assembly line fashion. Officials say thefts, strippings, and burglaries have not increased over the last few years. In fact, St. Paul probably boasts a reduction in crimes this year.
To be honest with you, I don't think we do have auto thefts, of course, and we do have cars that are broken into, but I don't think it's reached any major proportion here in St. Paul.
They both point to the juvenile as the #1 criminal, accounting for over 60% of vehicle thefts. Police in St. Paul even ticket people who leave their vehicles running unattended. But, said one officer, it's a bad habit that some will never overcome. While in comparison it may be true that the Twin Cities are below average in the number of auto thefts and break-ins, officials say it doesn't mean that vehicle owners don't have to be as cautious as their counterparts in similar-sized cities. Crimes against property are on the increase nationally, and there's no guarantee that the figures here won't change. Tony Saffold, WCCO Television News, the Twin Cities.
Governor Al Quay's political plans were outlined somewhat today, and Moorhead, a Moorhead high school student, had asked him, following a speech, if he plans to run for another term. The governor said, yes, I do plan to run again in 1982. But he also told the student that he won't, quote, be governor forever. He says once he's out of the state's highest office, whether it be in 1982 or 86, he's going to hang up politics and turn to studying and writing, quote, my theology of life. When we return in just a moment, Dave Nimmer will report on an expanded foot patrol for Minneapolis police. Tom Hendrick talks with a top UFO investigator who's looked to the sky now for some 20 years.
Minnesota Federal invites you to select now from 32 great gifts you'll discover at any of 32 convenient locations. Quality name brand premiums, each selected for your personal use or to proudly give as a gift. 32 great gifts, and all are free or available at special savers prices with a qualifying deposit. Stop in today and see this impressive selection of gifts. 32 now on display at any of 32 convenient locations of Minnesota Federal.
At Target, small appliances are priced exceptionally low every day. And this week, Target's lowered the price even more on this new GE smoke detector. It's now just $11.68. And with the $3 factory rebate, your final cost is only $8.68. This versatile GE food processor is priced at only $44.47. With the $7 factory rebate, your final cost is just $37.47. This Christmas, you'll come out ahead by doing all your small appliance shopping at Target.
I feel like I couldn't be any more comfortable than I am right now.
We're eavesdropping with hidden cameras as a big car owner test drives the new Dodge Diplomat.
It's got a great ride. You know, it's not noisy. We're talking good gas mileage. You're definitely talking about a winner.
If you're moving down for better mileage, but want to keep that big car feeling, see the re-engineered 1980 Dodge Diplomat.
It's got all the comfort I need, and I'm a big guy.
Get a 1980 Diplomat now at a participating dealer and get a $300 check direct from Chrysler.
Beginning next Monday, more Minneapolis policemen will be out of their squad cars walking a beat. Chief Donald Dwyer this week ordered all precinct commanders to tell their officers riding patrol squads that they will spend 2 hours out of each day's shift walking the streets in their precinct. Here's reporter Dave Nimmer.
The order will affect about 40 policemen who are working the day shift in their precincts. Its purpose is to reduce gasoline consumption, to get patrolmen to walk off extra weight they may be carrying around.
We'll try to pick up that story later and have the pictures for you as well. The additional constables will be on the streets at a time when robberies and business thefts traditionally increase, and that is Christmas time, as you know.
Minnesota Attorney General Warren Spanis has charged some Connecticut promoters of country and western music shows with violating the state's charity laws. Spanis says Country Time Productions of Waterbury, Connecticut, violated the law during productions in 1978 and 79 to benefit the nonprofit White Bear Lake, Minnesota Police Association. Mr. Spanis said the promoters led the public to believe that the money would go primarily to the Association for Charity Organizations, but most of the funds reportedly went into the promoters' pockets. One of the nation's leading authorities on UFOs was in the Twin Cities today. Tom Hendrick caught up with him at a place where flying saucers are seen every day. Well, that's 2 for 2. Sorry about that. Interest rates on home mortgages in Minnesota will hit a record high next month. State Banking Commissioner Michael Pint said today that the new figure will be 13.5%, or up by 3/4% from this month. Commissioner Pint emphasized the new rate does not mean all lending institutions will increase their loan rates to the legal limit. Pat?
11, 12, 13, or even 20% interest for money hasn't fazed the town of New Trier, Minnesota. The community has built a new town hall all by itself. City elders took one look at construction bids for a new building last spring and found they were twice the amount they wanted to spend. So the 150 residents of that city chose to chip in labor and boards and nails, and they built their own town hall.
Bud Kraehling is here live. We don't have to worry about being a tape going out on us. It is his forecast today includes wind chill factors, incessant snow flurries, and falling temperatures, which created something of a typical November day in Minnesota. Bud will join us in just a moment.
In our search for the perfect Christmas tree, we went back to the forest to see an original and duplicated it to make the Mountain King, a flame-retardant artificial Christmas tree with hook-on panel construction for easy assembly. However, its real beauty is in its full natural look, which also comes in a variety of shapes and sizes, just like the original, the Mountain King, the most perfect tree in the forest.
Available at Zaire Shopper City.
This season, give a gift of fashion from Montgomery Ward. Warm Acrylon acrylic robes are only $13.97 each. Choose a lightweight yet warm blanket cloth robe in wrap or hooded style. Or give her a special gift of a soft, high pile robe in button front or shawl collar style. All are machine washable and outstanding values at only $13.97 each. This Christmas, give an elegant robe from Montgomery Ward.
I love my Ethan Allen gallery. It's more than just a furniture store. Ethan Allen's a lamp store, a clock shop, a treasury of crystal and brass, a gallery of oriental rugs. Ethan Allen lets us make a room more than just a room, because Ethan Allen is more than just a furniture store.
Come on over to Swenson's in Maplewood and Mendota Heights and the Concord House in Minnetonka and Edina. More than just furniture stores.
15 inches of snow couldn't stop me, but it stopped all my neighbors. Because in weather like this, my four-wheel drive Jeep Cherokee's unbeatable traction lets me go where their two-wheel drive wagons can't. And this year, my Jeep Cherokee gets about the same gas mileage as their full-size wagons. Did you hear my pickle? Sure.
For the 1980 Jeep Cherokee, we wrote the book on four-wheel drive.
If you live in our part of the country, you know you need one. See your local Four Seasons Jeep dealer.
Now, I think we're prepared to offer you Tom Hendrick's talk today with one of the nation's leading authorities on UFOs.
How'd you like to run into this guy on a dark street? Or this one? If you did, you probably would end up talking with this fella, J. Allen Hynek, who followed UFOs for the federal government for 20 years and who claims the government still is tracking them.
The CIA have been just lying about their interest in UFO. They have had a continuing interest in the subject.
Whatever they are, and Hynek reminds us that UFO means unidentified objects, there is no lack of amazing stories about them. Many of them are on display here atop the IDS building. And one that may be on display here soon is the Warren, Minnesota encounter, where Deputy Sheriff Val Johnson's car was met head-on by something last summer, something which broke his windshield, bent his antennas, and gave him the scare of a lifetime.
Something just hit my car. I don't know how to explain it. Strange.
The Warren, Minnesota report is typical of many others in that credible people talk of incredible happenings. And even after 20 years, ufologists like Hynek admit concrete explanations escape them.
Why is it that it's the deputy sheriff that's patrolling late at night that has these experiences? They don't land on the White House lawn or at the halftime at the Rose Bowl game or something. They just don't. I don't know why not, but that doesn't disprove them. It's just the case. Just like you don't see the stars in the daytime, you see them at night.
Hynek will be lecturing on the subject tonight at St. Thomas College. Tom Hendrick, WCCO Television News, Minneapolis.
You're on. Didn't seem like we really got much snow today, but you know, all those little snowflakes piled up. 3/4 of an inch since midnight.
I can't believe that.
That's true. Puts our new season total now at 7.5 inches.
What are we shooting for? What's the record?
Oh, 45. 45 is the average.
45 is the average.
I think that'd be enough, don't you?
Oh, I would think so anytime.
Sure.
That's 3/4 of an inch.
Yeah, it is, right there. The sky cloudy, light snow continues in our Twin City area over much of the southern 2/3 of Minnesota into western Wisconsin, the northern part of Iowa. Our present temperature is 25 degrees. That's a -4 Celsius. Humidity 81%. Northwest wind at 17. Pressure reading is 30 inches even. The pressure is rising. Now keeping track of the temperature today, we found it went from 20 to 26, and sunrise at 7:27, sunset tonight at 4:35. Well, about an hour and a half before sunrise this morning, these were our cooler temperatures of the day. 16 both Bemidji and Alexandria, 15 this morning at International Falls, then in the 20s from Duluth, Redwood Falls, Rochester, and La Crosse. Winds at Fairmount and Worthington are now gusting 30 to 35 miles an hour, though the snow seems to be blowing off the highways. One of our weather stations around the weathernet at St. Peter also reported a wind gust over 30 miles an hour for this afternoon. Early morning temperatures found 18 at Sandstone to a 17 at Rice Lake, 32 at Owatonna, and 23 at Hutchinson. Also 23 for the early morning temperature at Durand, Wisconsin. Over the southern 2/3 of Minnesota, there is light snowfall that extends into western Wisconsin, the northern part of Iowa. This we have on the reliability of our cooperative observers over that part of the state called Surface Reports. There is also light snow falling into the eastern part of Iowa and southeastern Wisconsin. We have a low-pressure center that has been with us over a considerable period of time, located just to the east of Lake Superior, high pressure of southwestern Montana, and between those two, we had a moderate to strong northwest airflow that you see on our satellite sequence coming into the 5-state area, creating colder temperatures in the northern part of the 5 states and occasional light snow. A very strong cold front you'll see moving to the eastern seaboard, and temperatures there for the weekend expected to be considerably colder than the very mild readings over the last few days. Also in the eastern part of the country, there were showers today, showers from Atlanta up through the New York City area with temperatures 57 at Atlanta and 52 at New York, or 62 at New York City. Snow at Cleveland, 37, and cloudy back through Omaha, snow at Fargo, 18. Temperatures were on the cool side in the 30s from Boise down through Denver and Jackson, Mississippi at only 53 degrees. But the coolest spot this morning was at Gunnison, Colorado at about the 7,000-foot level, 17 below. It was only 8 above at Gallup, New Mexico. Winds gusted at 50 miles an hour at Portland today. In fact, it was 40 to 50 miles an hour for winds down through the western part of Texas, and in our own 5-state area, winds gusting in the Dakotas up to 40 miles an hour. An inch of snow fell at both Detroit and Toledo today, 40-mile-an-hour winds through the Central Lakes, showers on the eastern seaboard, and snow flurries are forecast for Minnesota for tomorrow, 18 to 25 for the temperature range. In the metro area tonight, cloudy, light snow, winds northwest with 12 degrees the low temperature overnight. For tomorrow, continued cloudy, snow flurries, northwest winds, and a high of 25 degrees. The end of the month should see a few snow flurries on Friday. Starting out the new month on Saturday, we're at partly cloudy and a bit of a warm-up through the first week of December. High temperatures going 22 to 35, nighttime temperatures of 10 to 20.
Right. Bud Wilkenson fired?
Golly.
Bud, say that again.
Golly.
That's what I thought. You don't fire Bud Wilkenson, but the St. Louis Cardinals did that today. Ralph Jon Fritz will tell us why in just a moment, and he'll offer a profile on the state's top-rated gymnast.
Lazy boy, shuck and shuck.
I just had no idea you had this kind of selection. Well, Lazy Boy has come a long way in 50 years. That's our newest, the wall recliner rocker. It sits just inches from the wall.
This is a Lazy Boy, too?
Sure. That's a lazy sleeper.
Lazy boy.
Near Rosedale, Brookdale, Southdale, and Maplewood.
Waiter, there appears to be a tree in my soup.
Yes, that's a hemlock, sir.
Hemlock? Call a doctor.
Oh, there's no reason to be concerned.
What do you mean there's no reason to be concerned about something like this?
Hold the phone, fellas. We can explain. At Boise Cascade, we use hemlock to make wood and paper products. And we use some of what's left over to make a yeast that's added to soups, gravies, and snack foods to boost their protein and vitamin B content. We also use other leftovers to make other useful products, like chunk bark, particle board, and pulp. Using all we can of every tree we harvest helps provide the jobs, wood, and paper products all of us need, while sustaining the forests all of us love. Boise Cascade, a company worth looking at.
I bought gold when it was $140 an ounce. I'm a smart buyer.
Announcing the Lincoln Mercury Smart Buyer Sale. Big factory-to-dealer rebates enable your dealer to cut prices by hundreds. It adds up to more than $470 on 79 V8 Capris, more than $1,600 on Mark V, and more than $3,000 on Mark V Collector Series. You can save on every eligible new 79 in stock. Come on into your Lincoln Mercury dealer Smart Buyer Sale.
Now is a smart time to buy.
They did fire Bud Wilkenson. It came over an argument as to who was going to start at quarterback this week for St. Louis. Well, meet the new head coach of the St. Louis Cardinals football team, Larry Wilson, the former hard-hitting safety of the Cardinals, replaces Bud Wilkenson, who was fired today by Cardinal President Bill Bidwell. Wilkenson, a coaching legend for nearly 20 years at Oklahoma, was lured out of coaching retirement last year after a 15-year coaching layoff. St. Louis posted a 6-10 record last year under Wilkenson, and the Cards were 3-10 this season. Bidwell says Wilkenson was fired because it was evident the two had different views on how the team would be run. Wilkenson wanted to start Jimmy Hart at quarterback this Sunday. Bidwell wanted Wilkenson to start young Steve Pasarkowitz against San Francisco on Sunday. So it's Wilkenson gone, and Pasarkowitz will start on Sunday against San Fran. The North Stars, who have won only one game in their last 4 since Bobby Smith broke his ankle, are in New York to play the Rangers tonight. Last night, the Stars got some help from Buffalo as the Sabres knocked off division-leading Boston 5-2. Derek Smith made it 1-0 Buffalo. Then Danny Gare gets his 15th of the year there to make it 2-0 for the Sabres. And coming up, Craig Ramsey, who goes in alone here, who has played over 500 straight NHL games, makes it 3-0, and Buffalo is on to a way to a 5-2 win. So the way a quick look at the Adams division looks now, the Boston Bruins, the leading point getter in the NHL, on top. Buffalo is second, and the North Stars, with games in hand, in third, then Toronto and Quebec. Well, beginning this weekend, Edina West will host the Boys State High School Gymnastics Tournament. And Park Center is the defending state champs, but one school hot on their trail is Irondale. Looking at the facilities at Irondale, it's easy to see why their gymnastics have been the regional tops for the last 3 years. Irondale's gymnasts were runners-up to Park Center in last year's state tournament. And one of the top contenders in the all-around competition is this man, co-captain Mark Erickson. Erickson, one of 2 seniors on the team, so head coach Rick Nelson can look forward to a veteran group next year. Dennis Dragg asked Coach Nelson how his team is handling the pressure.
Right now, I think that's where we're at. We've been working strength all season. A couple of nights ago, we quit doing our strength workouts, and we're kind of trying to get them prepared in the mental aspect of it. Fear plays an important part in gymnastics, and concentration is there. Like a lot of times at a meet, you'll hear the crowd yelling. If the gymnast is really concentrating, it shouldn't bother him, shouldn't throw him off. He should still be able to do his routine without any problem.
Los Angeles Dodger pitcher Rick Sutcliffe has been named Rookie of the Year in the National League. Sutcliffe is a 23-year-old right-hander. He won 17, lost 10 this past season. He becomes the 8th Dodger to win the Rookie of the Year award. Sutcliffe appeared in 39 games. He completed 5. He's the winningest Dodger rookie since the Dodgers moved to the West Coast in 1958. Rick Sutcliffe of the Los Angeles Dodgers, the National League Rookie of the Year. Of course, Minnesota's John Castino shared that honor with Toronto's Alfredo Griffin in the American League. That honor awarded earlier this week. The University of Minnesota women's basketball team hosts Drake University in an 8 o'clock game, Williams Arena tonight. The Gophers are 1-0. They upset Missouri, the 19th rated team, 88-82 last week. Meanwhile, the University men's basketball team opens its season Friday night at home against Eastern Michigan. About 15,000 expected to see if the Gophers can improve on an 11-16 record from last season. Tonight at 10, Mark Rosen will have a report on Jim Dutcher's Gopher squad. Amateur boxing fans have an opportunity to see some of the top amateur talent in the area tomorrow night. The University of Minnesota Boxing Club will co-sponsor a 12-bout card with the Bloomington Jefferson High School baseball team. The bouts there start at 8 o'clock, Jefferson High School Gymnasium. Pat?
Is the women's basketball team drawing a bigger crowd this year than last?
Just slightly bigger, but they should pick up if they continue because they, like we said, did spring an upset last week.
Okay.
Just their second game coming up.
Thank you, Ralph. We'll be back in just a moment.
More than a name, Aaron's is a family of fine products for all seasons. Aaron. Attach your 48-inch Aaron snow throw without belts or pulleys. The slow-turning auger and high-speed impeller on this efficient 2-stage attachment throws snow wet or dry, shallow or deep, right where you want it. Aaron's. Aaron's, a cut above the rest.
Available at Heinemann Mercantile, J&W Enterprises, and Larry's Sales and Service.
When winter gets tough and the snow gets deep, fight back with Scout. Scout lets you shift into 4-wheel drive for extra traction. And now's the time to buy an International Harvester Scout for next winter. Special factory reductions to your dealer on 79 models make it possible for him to give you a better deal than ever. Next time winter looks like this, fight back with this. Scout. Anything less is just a car.
Hi, how are you today?
Worried. I've got a Christmas gift problem.
Gifts are easy at Hickory Farms. Relax. Try our beef stick.
Very nice.
We've got gift packs with beef stick and cheese too, like Smoky Bar. You tell us your gift problems, Hickory Farms will solve them.
Oh, well, I have quite a few.
We'll even send you gifts.
No, thanks. I'll deliver them myself.
Samsonite makes over 400 different styles of tough bags. Samsonite's got your bag.
Tonight on our 10 p.m. report, the WCCO television news series Politics in Blue will conclude with a look at lessons learned from other departments around the country, as well as an examination of the organizational structure of the Minneapolis Police Department. In fact, 41% of the city's policemen are in the promoted ranks. A management consultant, reporters Don Shelby and Dave Nimmer talked with us, says the department is top-heavy with chiefs, a situation that could cause good patrolmen to go for years without a promotion. Again, the last of Politics in Blue tonight at 10 here on Television 4.
And that's our report for this Wednesday. Thank you for joining us. Good night.
This is Marlo Bendow. Tonight on PM Magazine, meet Erica Euland of Mankato, Minnesota, and find out how she made it big in Hollywood as a makeup artist for horror films.